Hello, everyone, and welcome to another book club episode. We are joined again by my sister Darren, who is here to help me do this interview because both of us read this author's two of his novels, his two most recent ones. And I think after this call, we're definitely going to be reading one of his memoirs. Please welcome Wade Rouse. Wade, thanks for being here. Darren, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, wait, we have to start with the first question, which always seems a little ridiculous to ask my guests, especially authors, but do you like to read, and what is your relationship to reading?
Huge reader. I would say I don't know an author that doesn't read. Relationship with reading started very early. Both of my grandmothers never finished high school, but were voracious readers and both volunteered at our little rural library. So books were kind of my saving grace growing up.
Mhm.
You know, librarians knew me very well. They kind of started pushing books and stories that characters that I thought I should read, to know that there was a bigger world than the small little town in which I lived. So, yeah, huge reader. But I have to say, when I'm writing a book, I can't read because characters and
Oh,
storylines interfere in my head. Because
okay.
if I get sucked into a book like y'all do,
Okay.
it overtakes your head.
Yeah.
So I can't do it. So I really postpone, and then when I finish, I just read anything.
Okay. Okay. So,
Like,
because that's a question I ask authors sometimes, especially when it's like a mystery thriller author, like somebody who writes
ah,
specifically in one genre. I'm like, do you read that genre when you're writing? And a lot of them say they read outside of that genre
interesting.
because, but I guess you could grab ideas from anywhere, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and I tend to finish if I'm writing a certain book, then whatever's the opposite, I'll rotate to read. You know,
Mm,
kind of as
okay.
like a palate cleanser.
Great. So you're reading horror after that's what
Yeah,
friends are for.
yes, or memoir or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a couple of rapid fire questions for you, if that's all right.
Like rapid fire.
Okay. Also, favorite way to read, like paperback, hardcover, Kindle, audiobook.
Um, Paperback or hardcover. I mean, I will Kindle great when I'm traveling,
Mhm.
so I don't have to haul everything. But I still love the feel of a book. It, I spend so much time on a laptop or a phone that if I can to not have that in my hand feels like a gift.
Yeah.
I agree. Also, how far do you get into a book before, like, making your decision whether or not if you're going to turn it down? How far do you get into it before it's like,
You know, here's what I will say. I try not to choose books for pleasure reading that I don't think I won't like or finish.
Mm,
So
fair.
and if I do, I'm one of those people, okay, if you're like me, if I'm watching the worst movie or series, and like Gary will fall asleep or friends will say, turn it off, it's horrible. I stick through it because like, I'm so dedicated, I have to finish it and I don't
Mm,
know. So I will kind of push myself through it. I try not to pick books. The hardest thing is if books are sent to me for endorsement or blurbs and they're just not working. Um, I try not to give endorsements without, I have to read the book.
is the book better or or the movie better?
Always the book, except for very rare occasions. And I think it's because you cast the book in your head, you have your own way
Yeah.
people are talking, and but there's rare occasions where the book or the book is actually superseded by the movie or the show.
Hmm.
Rare, but it
Okay.
happens.
yeah.
Okay. And then last one, is there a book or can you think of a book that you wish you could read again, fresh eyes, first time with no prior knowledge?
Oh my gosh, it's a great question. Um, yes, there's a couple. I would say back in the day, I was a big Tom Wolfe fan. He was the 80s author, and I read Bonfire of the Vanities, which, by the way, one of the greatest books ever written, one of the worst movies ever made.
Oh,
Tom Hanks,
interesting.
Melanie
Okay.
Griffith, the miscast, it was awful.
Okay.
And that book really changed me as a writer because did things I didn't think writers could do. He didn't follow
Mm,
the formula, which I was like, holy guacamole.
yeah.
And then, David Sedaris, some of the earlier
Mm.
memoirs, um, Me Talk Pretty One Day, Holidays on Ice. They were so, and Nora Effron too. Um, um,
Heartburn.
yeah, just I have to say, they made me want to be a writer. They were funny and yet tackled big issues, and were quick reads. So yeah, a lot of those I would kind of revisit again and would love to just like be surprised all over again.
Do you have a gateway book in whatever genre for somebody who wants to get into reading and hasn't found the right book?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one. I have to say this. One of the first, and I'm going to go back to what appealed to me, um, because it made me rethink about writing. But Nora Effron wrote an essay collection called I Feel Bad About My Neck. And I don't know if you've ever read it. It's just about a woman of a certain age not being universally appealing to men anymore and not giving a crap about it, essentially.
Love
That
it.
she's good enough on her own.
Hmm.
And it starts off, there's an essay where she just talks about she can't hide her neck anymore. This is the early days before we could do the shots and everything that we
Yeah.
do. And it's funny and heartbreaking and real. And she's such a gifted writer, breezily funny, but incredibly deep. And I never thought you could just take disparate essays and put them together and truly have an impactful memoir, which is what she does about aging, which is kind of how I started writing my first memoirs, where really they were just kind of disparate essays that I ended up piecing together in something bigger. So
Oh,
and it's a great, it seems like old school, but it's still timely, and she's so hilarious. And so that's one that I might recommend to people.
Genre, not necessarily books, but like genres in general. Do you have a favorite or a least favorite, or one that you're like, not for me. I'm gonna avoid that like the plague.
Um, I'm gonna be Westerns.
Okay.
I'm really off the board with people loving romantasy. It's not my thing. And I
okay.
feel it's so popular right now. I just personally, I don't want to fall in love with a winged dragon. Or, it's just, that's not me. I
Yeah.
really like more reality-based type things. So those are probably the genres I'm not going to go to.
Okay.
But I get why people read them.
Yeah. This is all very
Mhm.
helpful. Well, now we are at the point in this episode where we give you book recommendations.
Ah,
So, Darren, would you like to go first?
Sure. Okay, I've got a couple for you. So one, curious, I mean, you may have read these already, so let me know. But um, this one, when I read it back in high school, but it like sits with me and I revisit it very often. It's called The Five People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom.
album, yeah.
Yeah, that
Michigan's
one,
fabulous. And a
so
Michigan
good.
writer.
Mm,
Oh,
didn't know that.
yeah.
So you've read it.
I have. It's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, that's one of my recommendations. And for those who are listening who haven't read it, it's the main character who passes away meets several people on his way to heaven, and through that gets a different look back at his life and how he spent his life and what he meant to the people
Mm,
around him. And sometimes it's people that you know and you spent your life with, and other times it's random people you never knew you had a impact on. But yeah, so that's what I would have. That's one of the recommendations I had written for you.
great rec.
The other one, way less deep, but it's the most wonderful crime of the year. It's a okay, it's
Darren and I
a
read this on a road trip last year.
yeah,
I'll
it's a
write this down.
Christmas themed thriller. So
Oh,
very different end of the spectrum compared
I
to the
would say
last one I
cozy
just mentioned.
mystery.
Okay, cozy mystery, yeah.
Hmm.
It's got pieces of humor. It's got some love. It's got some mystery. Basically, it's um, two main characters, dual POV, and they are mystery writers who are invited to a dinner party turn will reading of another mystery author, and they have to figure out something goes down at the meeting. This mystery writer ends up passing away, and they have to figure out what happened there. It's all Christmas time frame, and they don't know who these other people are. It kind of gives like Knives Out vibe.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
it's a little cozier than Knives Out, and it's got, and you mentioned your Christmas
Yeah.
theme coming up, and yeah, I wanted to recommend that. It's by Ali Carter, The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year.
Great title.
So then mine are, so the first one is called What a Way to Go by Bella Mackie, who's an English writer. And this is also a mystery or thriller. And so it's written through three points of view. We start off at a birthday party for this rich white man in England who passes away at the birthday party. And so the different points of view are one, his wife, as they're kind of figuring out what happened to him, and all these secrets from his past come to light. One from an amateur sleuth in the town that wants to figure out what happened. And then the third one, which is I think the most interesting part of this novel, is through his eyes as he's sitting in this limbo stage between death and life. And and as certain things are brought to light, whether it be an affair or otherwise, he has his arrogance is still there as he's kind of talking through his perspective and watching it. And it was just a very interesting way to tell that story and kind of
Very cool.
how he died. Was it murder? You know? I have one more and then Darren has one more. So this one I wasn't going to put on the list, but I'm going to keep it anyway. Because when you were like, I don't like romantasy, I was like, I don't know if I should tell him this, but it's not romantasy. It's fantasy sci-fi-esque. But anyway, it was one of my favorite books I read last year, and it's called Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven. And so you follow two characters, Evelyn and I believe the and Arden. And Evelyn and Arden are in love in every lifetime, but in every lifetime, Arden kills Evelyn on her 18th birthday or right as she's turning 18.
My God.
And then they're reborn in a new lifetime. And so you get to watch them in every lifetime, and in every lifetime they're in a different decade, they're a different gender, they're a different
Oh,
race, they're a different age,
wow.
completely different people every time, but they find each other. And then when they find each other, they fall in love, and then he kills her. And so that's a lot of the story. And then you kind of figure out towards the end why they're stuck in this loop of life. So there's like a moment when they're in like ancient Greece, and then there's like a modern moment, and all of these. It's a beautiful love story, basically, I think, between two
I'm
people.
glad you included that.
Okay, I'm
That's,
glad.
yeah. And that's not easy to write.
Mhm. So now that we have kind of had a little bit of a chat about what you like, we've given you some recommendations. Can you tell us what are some of the things that you like look for in a book? Because I think when I ask this question, usually I always say tropes or themes, but I think those are
Yeah.
so like small. I just want to know, what do you look for in a book? What do you like? What do you find? What is interesting to you?
It's interesting. I'm much more of a like a like I love hearing your synopses of these
Mm,
books because I'm much more of a premise person.
same.
So if I want to go on that journey, then I'm in no matter what type of story it is. And it's like your Lisa Jewell recommendations fascinating because I really those types of books I think just maybe because of the times I maybe stopped reading as much of that. And as you were talking, I was like going back to Gone Girl, and I have to say, and all of Gillian Flynn's novels, those were some of the books that I literally could not put down. So
Yeah.
it's 2 in the morning and you're still turning.
Yeah.
And I haven't revisited that type of genre in a while. So, for me, it's really if I know I'm going to get sucked into the story or the characters I'm in, and it could be any type of book.
Now, Wade, where can everybody find you? Where can they get your book now that That's What Friends Are For is out to the world?
Visit waderouse.com, visit violashipman.com, Wade Rouse, Viola Shipman across social media. Book is everywhere, anywhere books are sold, as they like to say. And, visit my tour schedule and come see me on tour.